Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Kyle Richards had an emotional breakthrough as her ongoing separation from estranged husband, Mauricio continues on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. During season 14, episode 15, Kyle confessed to having a very different outlook on life after both decided to part ways after nearly 30 years of marriage. However, there was one event for the housewife that proved Mauricio was ready to move on and allowed Kyle to give herself permission to progress on her journey as a single woman. "You can live in this la la land for as long as you want," but that was a hammer on the head, saying, "Hello Kyle. He's moved on. It's ok," Kyle said in her confessional. "You're both entitled to live your lives." The answer? Leaked photos of Mauricio kissing a younger woman in an airport in Greece, which made rounds through the tabloids, blindsiding Kyle and the other housewives. "In seeing these photos, I think it makes it pretty clear that this is permanent," Kyle continued, "and I don't think it's going to be easy to come back from that." Kyle addressed the headline-grabbing pics, for which Mauricio was apologetic, after inviting first-time diamond holder Bozoma St. John to her home. Despite Kyle trying to keep her emotions in check for the one-on-one meeting, it was difficult for her to hold back the tears. Regarding the split, in general, Kyle admitted, "I didn't even know if that's what I wanted to do." She also doubled down that she didn't believe Mauricio would have intentionally hurt her or their children by having the photos published, and that he feels bad as it is that they've been leaked to the press. But it left things uncertain, especially since Kyle was unsure about Mauricio's commitment to the unnamed woman. Continuing to open up to Boz, Kyle said some of her would have been happy if she and Mauricio struck a deal where they could still live under the same roof while maintaining separate lives. But once Mauricio decided to move out of the family home, Kyle realized her vision was just not realistic. When he finally said, "I'm going to move out," it was strange. Kyle told producers, "It was like, wow, this is really happening." As Bozoma and Kyle attempted to get to know one another better, Bozoma shared her own story about her late husband, Peter St. John, who was diagnosed with terminal cancer after they decided to split. Bozoma, like Kyle, struggled to see her husband move on, which she realized when seeing a woman rub John's head and give tender kisses during one of Bozoma's visits to see her daughter's father at the hospital. Coming to terms with separation was something both women now had in common. "I understand where Kyle is because the pain of seeing someone that you have built a life with move on is unlike anything else," Bozoma said in her confessional. "It's hard to fathom that it's possible for them to do that." Later, Kyle and Mauricio faced one another for the first time since the kissing snaps went viral. Things were awkward for Kyle, but there was no avoiding the elephant in the room. Mauricio said he was really sorry about the photographs and never meant to hurt anyone. Kyle, understanding that Mauricio knew nothing about the lip-locking moment being caught on camera, wondered if the unnamed woman hadn't leaked them herself. As emotional as it was for Kyle to see, she acknowledged they were both separated. "I think about, how did we get here? If we care about each other so much, how did we allow this to happen?" Kyle wondered aloud, "Everything we built, this is like the rug really being ripped out from under your feet. I did not expect my life to go in this direction." More to come as The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills continues, with all new episodes airing Tuesdays at 8/7 C and streaming the next day on Peacock. In the meantime, see Mauricio's full apology to Kyle about the airport photos. For over 2 decades, Kyle Richards and Mauricio were regarded as one of Bravo's golden couples. Their relationship weathered the storm of reality television, public scrutiny, and the ever-demanding world of Beverly Hills luxury. But in 2023, cracks in their seemingly unshakable foundation became impossible to ignore. While speculation ran rampant about the state of their marriage, Kyle remained tight-lipped, until the moment she could no longer deny what was staring her in the face. The realization that her split from Mauricio was truly permanent did not come in one explosive moment, but rather in a series of emotional reckonings that forced her to confront the truth. Anyone who has been in a long-term relationship knows that sometimes love doesn't fade in a dramatic, fiery explosion. It simply erodes over time, replaced by distance, resentment, or indifference. For Kyle, the initial realization came not in a heated argument, but in the quiet moments when Mauricio no longer reached for her hand, when their laughter felt rehearsed rather than spontaneous, and when their home, once filled with warmth, became a house occupied by 2 distant souls. During the last season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, fans noticed a palpable shift between Kyle and Mauricio. The couple who once radiated playful affection and unshakable partnership suddenly seemed disconnected. Kyle began spending more time on her personal growth, diving into fitness, self-discovery, and deepening her friendships, while Mauricio threw himself further into his real estate empire. The conversations that once carried them late into the night turned into surface-level exchanges about logistics and schedules. But the most telling moment? The way Mauricio stopped noticing. Kyle could walk into a room in a stunning gown, her hair perfectly styled, and the man who once couldn't take his eyes off her barely looked up from his phone. It wasn't that Mauricio had fallen out of love. Perhaps he had simply stopped paying attention. And for Kyle, that hurt more than any argument could. Being in the public eye only magnified the pain. The Bravo fan base dissected every interaction between them, each Instagram post, each interview. Rumors of an affair, potential new love interests, and cryptic social media captions fueled the fire. For a while, Kyle convinced herself that they could push through the noise. After all, wasn't their relationship built to withstand this? But then there was that one evening. A Bravo event where Kyle expected the usual routine, hand-holding, posing for pictures, the polished exterior they had perfected over the years. Instead, Mauricio's body language was off. He was there, but not with her. When they took photos together, it felt performative. And when he walked away mid-conversation to greet someone else without a second glance, Kyle knew. It hit her with a weight that made her stomach drop. This was no longer fixable. This wasn't a rough patch. This was the end. The moment that sealed it wasn't in public, though. It was a quiet evening at home, after the cameras had stopped rolling, when the girls were out and the house was eerily silent. Kyle and Mauricio sat on opposite ends of their massive sectional sofa, both on their phones, neither acknowledging the other. This wasn't a fight. There were no raised voices, no accusations, just a void between them that neither one knew how to bridge anymore. She thought about their past, the early days when they couldn't get enough of each other, the late nights laughing in bed, the way he used to reach for her hand even when they were just watching TV. She thought about all the ways he had fought for them, through difficult times, through doubt, through the pressures of their world. And then she thought about how exhausted she was. How much effort it took just to pretend they were okay. How, for the first time in their marriage, she felt like she was holding on to something that had already let go of her. That was the moment she realized they were no longer fighting for each other. And if there was no fight left, what was there to save? Admitting that their separation was permanent wasn't just about accepting the end of a marriage. It was about grieving a version of herself that no longer existed. The Kyle who believed in forever, in happy endings, in the idea that love alone could fix anything. But she wasn't that woman anymore. There was no grand confrontation, no dramatic walkout, just an understanding that she and Mauricio had reached the end of their road together. And maybe, just maybe, that was okay. In the months that followed, Kyle leaned into the pain, the uncertainty, and the freedom that came with it. She stopped explaining herself to the world. She stopped pretending for the cameras. And in the silence of her new reality, she found something she hadn't felt in a long time.